Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Voices That Heal podcast. This is your girl, Jams. I am your host for this evening. I'm so excited to be here. It's been a minute. I apologize, but we had a huge summit that just happened last month. If you weren't there, you definitely missed a time in New Orleans. And then before that, I think I was on live in March. Can't really quite remember. But in any case, I'm glad to be back. This is a platform that is all for lung cancer survivors, patients, and allies to talk through some of the issues that we go through, to discuss different topics that sometimes don't get enough attention and don't get enough airtime, if you will. And so I like to bring folks on air to talk about these things so that we can be very transparent about this lung cancer journey, put a face to what's happening, and maybe hopefully motivate some other folks to listen to their bodies, get checked out, and more importantly, tell somebody who they know needs to be checked out to do the same. So that's what this platform is all about. If you haven't already seen any episodes, you can check us out on YouTube. We have a playlist on the Heal Collaborative page. So check out Heal Collaborative on YouTube and then just look at their playlist and you'll see Voices That Heal. You can see all the different conversations and different guests that I've had on air. Also, this evening, I want to make sure that I shout out the Heal Collaborative team for supporting me in this endeavor and my journey, of course. I want to make sure I also say, shout out to the team for an amazing lung cancer summit. If you guys, like I said, if you weren't there, you really missed a time. Like, the Heal Summit is different from any other summit that I personally have ever been to. And I'm not even biased when I say that. I really, truly feel like that is just a different vibe from lung cancer summits that you feel across the board. And I'm really appreciative of that space. And I'm really extremely protective of that space as well, because we really need it. So without further ado, let me get into this conversation. This is our May Women's Health panel. We're going to talk about something that I think is super important. We're going to bring up this conversation around, why women are getting diagnosed late. As in, why are we putting off the symptoms that we have? What's keeping us from getting checked out? What's keeping us from being taken seriously? And then that stigma of being strong and pushing through, and how damaging that can truly be when you're battling a disease and when you're just trying to, make sure that you're taking care of yourself. So I want to bring the ladies on stage with me this evening, let them introduce themselves so we can jump right into the conversation. I have a jam-packed panel and I'm so excited because I know this is going to be a powerhouse conversation. So ladies, welcome to Voices That Heal. How are we all doing this evening?
Great.
Doing good.
Okay.
Doing well.
Okay. All right. So I guess, I'll start with you, Naomi. If you want to share your story real briefly, just how you got your diagnosis, just a little bit of information. We're going to dive into it a little more, but just give a, 50,000 foot overview of who you are and how you got here.
Wow. Okay. Who am I? I'm a mother, sister, daughter, all the things. I was diagnosed in November 2023, and there's a lot more to the story, but so I've been healthy for about 2.5 years now, post-diagnosis. So is there anything else I should share?
No, let's leave it there, because we are going to dive into each of our stories, and there's certain aspects of our stories that I want all of us to share that relate to the topic. So we'll leave it there and we'll jump over to Billie and let her introduce herself.
Okay.
Hi, I am Billie. I was diagnosed with stage 3 non-small cell lung cancer in December 2023. So I'm at 2.5 years post-diagnosis. I'm still in treatment. I've done chemo radiation, and I'm currently on targeted therapy.
All right. And last but not least, Kirah, this is your first time joining the podcast, so welcome. I didn't want to put you on the spot and make you go first, so I definitely let you go last so you can kind of see what the other ladies are sharing. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Kirah. I was diagnosed stage 4 lung cancer in August of 2023, and I'm currently still in the fight with the cancer. I am currently taking I'm on a clinical trial right now, which has been working for me. I'm a mom. I have 2 children, and I'm fairly healthy other than the cancer. So I really can't complain too much.
Well, listen, that's a good thing, and it's not a bad place to be honest with you. So I want to jump into the conversation. I guess I should, share my story as well, since I am part of the conversation. I'm Jamie, was diagnosed with stage 4 ALK positive lung cancer back in December of 2018. As of this point, I am, medically stable. Knock on wood, I've been that way for a few years now. I've had a wonderful response on alectinib, and I pray that I continue to have that response. And so I've been, they say medically induced remission, whatever that means. But I just like to say I'm medically stable because it just makes more sense to me. I just feel like remission is not really the right word. When you still, I don't know that I have active cancer on my body. It's very complicated, whatever. Long story short, I'm stable, and I hope I stay that way for a very long time. So I want to jump into the conversation because I know when I got my diagnosis, there were a lot of symptoms I ignored. And you know what? Let me take that back. I didn't ignore them. I didn't put them together. And that was the problem. So what started off as a wheeze and a cough, which then subsided and turned into back pain and shortness of breath. I didn't put all of those different symptoms together and realize that it was all part of the bigger picture. I just thought I was getting older and I was out of shape and life was lifing. And I, didn't really think that like lung cancer was the last thing in my mind that this would have been. And so I know that you guys also have similar stories where there are symptoms and side effects and things that you may not have paid all the way attention to. And so I want to give you guys an opportunity to kind of talk about some of those symptoms that you might have ignored, or maybe even that your doctor ignored when you went to go see them, that you think contributed to where you are today. So I don't want to call out anyone just in case, but I mean, if anyone has a story they want to share, if you want to jump in, the stage is yours.
I can go. For me, I did have a cough, but even prior to a cough, because I was coughing for a good year before even seeing a doctor. I had experienced COVID, and I just thought that the cough was a symptom of the COVID after the COVID had ended, and the cough just occurred at night. So it didn't really bother me too much until it really started to bother me and keep me up at night. And that's when I decided to go see a doctor, and they told me that it's probably just allergies. And I went with it, and it was during allergy season. And I'm like, typically that's not one of the symptoms for me, for my allergies, but I just went with what the doctor was saying, and I just kept it moving. I then decided to go back because the cough continued on, and they did an x-ray and they told me that I had pneumonia, treated me for pneumonia, cough was still there. And I didn't go back to the doctor right away because I was working and I just was busy with work and life. And I just didn't take the time out to go back to the doctor and take care of what I needed to for myself. And that's where I feel I dropped the ball on myself. And when I did go back, they sent me for another x-ray and saw that it still looked the same, probably a little worse. And they sent me to a pulmonologist. And then that's pretty much where the journey started as far as just all of the tests, the scans and things like that to ultimately get to a biopsy, which led to the lung cancer. But even prior to the cough,
sorry.
I'm sorry.
No, keep going.
Prior to the cough, even I had other symptoms like several years ago. I had a back pain. I had a burning sensation in my back that I would just ignore. And because it just occurred periodically. It didn't happen all the time, but it was something that I noticed. And I now realize that was cancer because it's in the same exact spot where the cancer sits.
Yeah. Did anybody on your care team like follow back up with you when they said you had pneumonia or anything like that? Or was it like just radio silence after you got these sort of like false diagnoses from the doctors?
It was complete silence. I haven't even talked to my primary care doctor. After they referred me to the pulmonologist, they didn't follow up with me. I didn't see my primary care doctor until maybe 2 years after my diagnosis when I went in for just an annual exam.
Oh, wow. Wow. Okay. My story's a little similar to that, where like I went in to my pulmonologist or to my primary care. They referred me to a pulmonologist, told them I was having this cough and this wheeze that would only happen at night, like when I was getting ready to go to sleep. And then it started to get like started happening more often. I couldn't pinpoint what was causing it. And then I got a cold and the cold went away, but the cough stayed. And I was like, okay, that's bronchitis. Cause you always Google your symptoms. And so I just thought I had bronchitis. And so I went to the primary care thinking he was going to give me like antibiotics or something like that or whatever. And, he ended up referring me to the pulmonologist. They gave me a little breathing test or whatever. told me that it was allergies or asthma, same thing, and then kind of gave me an inhaler, sent me on my way, and was like, come back in 2 weeks and let us know how you feel. Obviously, I came back in 2 weeks and I was like, yeah, that did nothing for me. And they were like, well, here's a cough suppressant. And they sent me on my way again. And I just stopped going back to the doctor at that point. Nobody ever called me to follow up. Nobody ever did anything else after that. They gave me this 30-day prescription and I just never went back. And I didn't get a second opinion. This was back in like April of 2018, I think. I didn't get a second opinion until December of that year. So it was like several months later. So yeah, our stories are pretty similar. But Naomi, I'll go to you next to see if there was any symptoms that you ignored or that your care team kind of ignored or bypassed that you feel like led to your diagnosis.
Yeah, there was definitely a lot that I would say was ignored. I'd been experiencing symptoms for a while, so I would get dizzy spells. I would feel this really weird, like fluttering feeling, like in my chest, and it seemed to get progressively worse. And this is all post COVID, so like COVID was like pretty rough for me. Like I was in a very market driven field at the time, so I was doing a lot of contracts during COVID, plus the kids home from school. So
Yep.
I was like exhausted for quite a while after COVID. So that didn't help anything. And so I'm feeling these weird symptoms. And then one day I think it just got to a point where I talked to my brother about it. He's an OR nurse, and he was like, he thought it was a heart attack. He was like, symptoms, heart attack symptoms in women are very different, from men. You could be having a heart attack. You need to go to the ER. So I said, okay. Now, granted, I had just started a new job. And so I was just like, I don't really want to take this day off. I just started. I don't want to be calling in. And he's like, you need to go to the ER. So I went to the ER, did what I was supposed to do. They took some scans or whatever, and they saw the nodule. Now, this was in June or July of 2021.
Okay.
They see the nodule. Long story short, the doctor comes in, he goes over the scan, and he's like, I think you should get another a follow-up scan. He said, it's probably not a big deal, but I'm just going to give you a referral, get the scan, and then and I want you to follow up with your primary care doctor. So he sends me to a doctor who I have not seen in like 2 years. I don't know why he sent me to that doctor, but I didn't go because that wasn't my primary care doctor anymore. And honestly, I thought that was just kind of, lung cancer was the furthest thing from my mind, right? Of course, I'm not a smoker. I lead a healthy lifestyle, so I'm not even thinking about lung cancer. I'd had fibroids before, so, masses in my uterus. I'd had, they found fatty deposits, not fatty liver, but just, I don't know, some spots in my liver, which are benign, and not fatty liver. But, I'd had different lumps like in my body that were all benign, no issues. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe people just get lumps in their lungs when they get older. Maybe that's just something that happens. Not once was the word cancer mentioned. It was all very just knowing now how significant that is to find a nodule in your lung. I'm amazed that things were so laid back and they're just like, oh, it's probably nothing. Like that is literally what he said. So I leave with the intention to get the scan, and life happens, right? Like, I don't know what all happened after that, but getting used to my work, single, divorced parent, I went about my life, honestly. Like I just kind of forgot about it after a while. It wasn't, he said it was probably nothing. I'd always been healthy. I'd never had any bad physical or anything ever. So fast forward. Oh, he did refer me to a cardiologist. So I did go to the cardiologist and did all the different things that the cardiologist does. The nodule was on my notes that the cardiologist had. So he could have followed up on the nodule. He didn't ask me about it. Did you get your scan? Nothing. So again, but I forgot about the nodule. So fast forward a couple of years, November 2023, and I'm having anxiety, which I'd already, in 2021, I was more tired than usual. I was having anxiety, all these things. Like my body is like, something's not right. But I'm just like, oh, I'm always tired. I'm a single mom. So flash forward and it just gets worse and worse and worse. And what happened? So within a week's time, everything just really progressed in November. So I was just getting dizzy spells. I was having neuropathy. I wasn't out of breath or anything like that. But around September, I did get a cough. And I just remember one day I woke up from a nap and I just started coughing. And one of my sons had just had COVID. So I said, okay, maybe I caught his COVID, but I didn't have any symptoms. And that's what caused the cough. I go to the doctor and I come home with a bag of, like you said, inhaler, cough suppressant. She thought it could have been acid reflux. So there's something in there for that. And I'm just like trying different things. Nothing worked. So then the following month, October, I go back to my primary care doctor. Like I still have the cough. And she's like, yeah, I think you should get a chest scan. So that was late October. And then, so I did call to get the chest scan. I had that scheduled. And then, but before that, I just started getting dizzy spells. Like I said, just a lot of different symptoms. The fluttering got worse in my chest and the cough was still remaining. And then I was at a get together as a friend's birthday party and I could barely sit up straight in my chair. And so I went to the ER that night and that's when they found, they did the scans and they found, several nodules
Yeah.
in my chest. So yeah. And I will say, so they punctured my lung, which happens during a bronchoscopy. So I was in the hospital for a couple of days. And so one of the doctors comes in the room one night and she was like, this was found back in 2021. She was like, what happened with that?
Oh.
And I was just laying there and I was like, oh my God, they did find it in 2021. And I was just, of course, all the feelings like angry, frustrated, all the feelings. So, and I haven't really talked about a lot how it was found in 2021 because I felt dumb. Like I felt so stupid. Like, why didn't I go get the scan? But when I tell you just how laid back they were about the whole thing and how overwhelmed I was in that moment, like already having symptoms and already exhausted from the cancer, but just not knowing that. And I kind of liken it to like somebody has like a bullet wound or something. And then you're like, hey, you need to get treatment or you need some care for this. I'm going to send you to this other doctor. And that's kind of how I felt like I needed help in that moment. Like I needed them to send me to an oncologist, maybe do another scan that night.
Yep.
But I was just kind of sent on my way, exhausted and just, trying to get through the day. So that's my story.
It's so sad. And like, I feel like there's a lot of us that have similar points in our story where we're like, damn, they found this earlier and I didn't pay attention. You know what I mean? And like lung cancer progresses so fast. That's the thing. And when I hear us tell our stories and I hear about like just how long months and months and months we go trying to convince people that something is wrong or like trying to get seen to get stuff taken care of. It's like, if you guys just listen from the beginning, you know what I mean? Like we could be catching these things so much earlier when we have like a way better fighting chance at curing this thing. But like, we're just not set up that way. And we constantly get dismissed as women as being, oh, she's hormonal. It's this, it's that, and then it's so funny that we get failed by all these people in the healthcare system. And then we still blame ourselves, like, yeah, they found it a few years ago. Somebody should have been paying attention to that and been like, you know what, just in case, let's, just out of an abundance of caution, maybe it's nothing, but maybe we should just do an x-ray because you have a nodule,
Yeah.
Something as simple as an x-ray could have changed the course of all of this, and I think about, myself too and mine. It's like when I first got admitted to the doctor, again, can relate, so casual. I didn't know I had stage 4 lung cancer. Like he was joking with me and laughing around with me in the doctor office, like nobody ever staged me. I just was like, oh, it's, some mild form of cancer. This is how super naive I was, like mild form of cancer. Like, I don't even know. Like there's no mild form of cancer, like it's not a thing. But that's just how far cancer was from my mind and from my thought process on what was going on with me is like, it just never really connected. But I mean, I think about if he had just done an x-ray on me in April when I presented with my issues, maybe I might have been stage 1, stage 2. By the time I got to the hospital, I had 2.5 liters of fluid in my chest. Like maybe the cough and the shortness of breath was like the fluid starting to develop, but like not, as far as it had been before. So I don't know. But Billy, let's jump over to you because I know you have a story that also is probably going to make some people raise eyebrows. So why don't you share your symptoms and things that might have been overlooked that led to your diagnosis?
Okay, so back in 2019, my dad passed away, and a few nights later, I woke up. My heart was racing. I actually thought I was having a heart attack. I get rushed to the hospital. My heart rate is 288 beats per minute, and it was crazy. And during that scan, they found the nodule. Okay, fast forward, I get referred to pulmonology. I don't know if it was my lack of insurance. I don't know what happened, but I didn't see pulmonology until that was in May. I didn't see pulmonology till almost the end of the year. But when I did see them, we did a biopsy. It was not malignant, but the pulmonologist felt like I should get it removed because if it developed to lung cancer, then obviously it would be a bigger problem. So I had a surgery scheduled for March of 2020. But then COVID happened and all non-essential surgeries were put on hold. And because it was not cancerous, it was put on hold. And so our plan was to watch it. And so I did scans in 6 months, and then in a year, in the next 6 months, I did a biopsy. And we did that for 3 years up until 2023. In April of 2023, the pulmonologist said, this is the same size. It has not grown. Let's just discharge you. I don't think this could have been something that was there when you were a child, and it was just incidentally found this time. And so I said, okay, I was fine with it. We have done 2-3 biopsies, and I had done scans 3 or 4 times. So I was okay with it. In October of 2023, my mom passed away. And the day after her funeral, I started coughing. And I also had some back pain about 2 weeks after that. But one, I had totally forgot about the nodule. It wasn't even on my radar at all. And I definitely did not link the coughing and the back pain together. And so I went for about almost 2 months. And then I was like, man, in December, I noticed that I had taken like 7 or 8 bottles of cough syrup. And I was like, I had all the empty bottles on the sink. And I was like, man, I need to see the doctor because I'm still coughing. And I went to my primary care and I was telling him, like, I'm having this bad back pain and I just wanted muscle relaxer, and I don't even like medicine. So I'm like, if I'm asking for medicine, it has to be really bad. He refused to give me meds. And so I have a friend who's a doctor. So I called her and I told her. And so she said, go back up there and you ask him to notate it in your chart that he won't even give you medication. And I went back on that Monday and I said, hey, can you at least put it in my chart that you're refusing to give meds? Well, he wasn't there, but I talked to the nurse. So the nurse sends the following morning at Tuesday, I get a prescription. So I go pick up the prescription. I take the muscle relaxer. I slept all day, and in the evening I woke up to just do some paperwork, and I started coughing and blood came up. And so I sent a message to the family group chat like, hey y'all, I'm going to the ER. And I went initially, like Kirah, they diagnosed me with pneumonia. So they started treating for that. But then Wednesday they came back and said, hey, your pneumonia test came back and it's not pneumonia. So we need to do a bronchoscopy. And we kind of went from there. I think I stayed in the hospital until Saturday. And then that following Wednesday, I was back at work and they gave me a phone call to tell me that it was cancer. But one crazy thing that I often forget is that for years, at least 10 years, I have a friend, and she, every time we're around each other, she say, girl, why you always got that dry cough? And I'm just like, I don't have a dry cough. It's only with you. And it became actually one of those things, like it was anxiousness when I was around her, because I'm gonna say, Brittany's gonna say I got this dry cough. And every single time I was with Brittany, I coughed. And so she said it for years, or she had been telling me for years, girl, you got a dry cough, you got a dry cough. And I'm like, I don't have a dry cough. But indeed, I obviously did have a dry cough. And yeah, so but I oftentimes forget about like I said, the coughing, and I definitely just did not link, because if you don't know, if you lack the knowledge, I'm a Googler, like I call myself the family doctor, so like it's the running joke of the family, but I just did not link the back pain, and even after having found that nodule, I was just naive probably too, and so
there's just a lot of misinformation about lung cancer out there. There's a lack. I mean, there's tons now that we're in the community, there's info. You know what I mean? But
Mhm.
otherwise, like you just kind of nobody really knows about it. And so that's the
Yeah.
part that blows your mind is like when you get this diagnosis, you're like, huh? But wait, that
Right.
doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? And it's just one of those things where, we can blame ourselves all we want and talk about how we skipped this and we missed that and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's a partnership with your care team. And if your care team is, listening to you and trying to get to the root cause of your problem and not just put band-aids on your issues, then they're going to look into why you're having these problems. So it's like on some level, yes, we have to pay more attention to our bodies, but like we also have to have a care team that gives a damn. Like you got to have a care team that cares about you and sees you as a person. And so many of us like have gone to providers that, don't don't see us as a person, and it's hard sometimes. You have to look them in the eye and be like, pretend I'm your mom, pretend I'm your sister, pretend I'm your cousin, pretend I'm your girlfriend, whatever you need to do to see me as a person that you would care about. I need you to see me like that because I have a family that I want to get back home to. And so many of us don't have that conversation with our provider. And a lot of us don't want to know. A lot of us have that flamingo syndrome where we just, bury our heads in the sand and we don't really want to know what's wrong. But we got to do better. Like we got to pay attention, and we have to, if our crazy friend is telling us we got a dry cough, let's go look it up. Let's go see what's going on with the dry cough. You know what I mean? And anybody else out there that's got a dry cough or a burning sensation or back pain or shortness of breath or just any unexplained weird thing that your body's not supposed to be doing, please go get checked out. Please don't just ignore it and pretend like it's, whatever or aging. It's not. It's your body's way of communicating with you and you're ignoring it. So please, if you get nothing else from this conversation from us ladies, pay attention to your symptoms, But I want to ask you guys, so how is life now? We're going to jump into stigma. We're going to jump into the being strong thing, but I want to know like how life is now. Have you gotten back to work? Have you, sort of, you know, gotten a new normal and worked that into it? Are you like, what does life post diagnosis look for you currently so that we can kind of paint that picture? And Kirah, I'll go to you first.
Well, life now, I feel a lot more like myself prior to cancer, since starting this new drug that I'm on. And I just started the drug in February. So prior to that, I was coughing every day. I was coughing up mucus. It was a debilitating cough where I couldn't work if I wanted to. I was just constantly coughing and constantly having the back pain. So I now feel some sense of like old Kirah, and now I feel like, okay, maybe I can jump back into, getting like working again. So I'm just trying to figure things out moving forward now, since I am starting to feel a little bit like my old self.
Yeah. Apologies, y'all. So Kyra's internet is giving us issues. We can hear you loud and clear, girl, but you are lagging. So like that's the only reason I'm not making you center screen, but the more important thing is we can hear you. So we can hear you loud and clear and you're good. It's just your screen is a little a little laggy. So bear with us folks on that. No, it's all good. Like I said, the message is what matters and we're getting it. So but yeah, so Billie, why don't you hop in next and kind of talk about life post-diagnosis? I know things have been crazy for you lately and whatnot. So
Yeah. Yeah, I just, I was just telling somebody yesterday. Oh no, I was telling that today. I think when I came, when I got the diagnosis, and I know that doctors are hopeful and they say, like, I just remember it was like, oh, you're gonna do chemo and radiation for this amount of time. And then at this point, I didn't know I had a biomarker, and they were like, you're going to do immunotherapy for a year. And then boom, it should be gone. And nobody tells you that, like, I'm 2.5 years in and it's not gone. And it just didn't go away like that. And again, maybe I was naive because, like, I don't know. But also, too, my mom had breast cancer 4 times. So I had seen her be in remission all these times. So I knew that it was possible. And another thing, I kind of, God rest her soul, I love my mom to death, but, like, she made it look easy. So I didn't think that I really in my head, like, oh, I'm just going to do chemo, do radiation, get through it, and boom, I'll be back to normal. And it's just not. It's not. And I don't think it'll ever be normal. And I don't know, like last week I had such a rough week emotionally. Like nothing is normal. My physical doesn't is not normal. My financial is not normal. My emotional is not normal. And it's just, I don't know, like, and I'm hopeful, like, and I'm grateful, and all of those things. I don't want to, I think sometimes I sound like I'm not grateful to be here, but I am, because I have a child that I love so much, and I just want to be here for her. But like, it's hard. It's hard. It's no, like, one thing, and I don't want to get too deep off into the conversation, but like I was again talking to Nat today, and I was like, so you hear all of these things, and you think that you're gonna go back to normal. Like for instance, I didn't know the damage that chemotherapy, and it doesn't, obviously chemo is different for different people. It never brought my hair out, but like my teeth, I have 7 missing, not broken, 7 missing teeth since chemo. I have 6 broken, so that's 13 out of 32 teeth. So so many nights I just lay sleeping or trying to go to sleep, and I'm in pain. Even now my neck is swollen, my ear is swollen. I got a dental treatment plan that's $30,000. Nobody told me this happens with cancer. I don't have $30,000 to give to a dentist. And so I'm grateful and I'm thankful, and I have so much love and support around me. Sometimes I feel terrible about even complaining, because I've just had people show up in ways for me that I could not even imagine. But it's hard. I don't even want anybody to think it's easy.
I'm going to stop you right there and say you don't need to apologize for feeling the way you do. Like, this is a hard journey, no matter what way you have it. Like, even on the best of days for people, it's difficult, and folks don't understand that. Like, and what you just said, people have no idea, like, the damage that chemo can do to your body. Like, chemo is like a flamethrower inside your cells, just destroying everything to get at that cancer. And that's just how it is. You know what I mean? And it hits everybody differently. And so it's like, you can't compare your walk to anybody else's. You can't compare your journey to anybody else's. And you don't owe anybody any explanation for how you feel about the journey that you're on. Like, so if you feel like you're happy to be here, but you're having a day, then that is your prerogative, and nobody is taking that away from you. And if anybody tries to, you should punch them in the face. But in all seriousness, though, this journey is not an easy one, and it never has been. It never will be. And there's never going to be a point where you're just totally back to normal, because the amount of toll that cancer takes on your body is going to take something away from you, and so it's always about navigating that new normal that you have, whatever it may be. And some days you're grateful to be here, and some days you're like, am I though? Like some days you really just kind of, you just existing is enough, and you have to be okay with that, and it takes a long time for you to get to that point. It takes years and years and years of just being in your skin and being on your journey to be like, you know what? I don't give a damn who thinks what about me. Like, you're not walking in my shoes. Okay. That's all I'm going to say to you. You don't live my life on a daily basis. And so for me, like, it's whenever I hear people upset about like, oh, I should be grateful to be here. Like, okay, but also there's a quality of life aspect of things too, that people don't take into account when it comes to cancer. Like, yes, we're grateful to be here, but sometimes it's like, but at what expense? Like, sometimes it's like, it's hard living with the side effects of these medications to keep us alive. So we can just pray that, someday these medicines are a lot gentler on our bodies. But it's, for now, that's the journey that we're on, so I, don't feel bad for not always feeling grateful to be here. Like, this is a hard journey. So anyway, before I start crying, okay, got to hold myself together on my podcast here. Naomi, what about you? How's life, post-diagnosis for you?
I mean, it's been definitely a roller coaster for sure. Yeah, so I just remember laying in my hospital bed, and, a doctor comes in, and, you get the diagnosis, and you're like, oh my God, like, you're just bowled over. Like, how did this happen to me? And then a doctor came in, and he said, there's treatments out there. There's medicine that can just shrink everything and you can be fine. And so then I'm like, okay, I'm hopeful. And then my first doctor appointment with an oncologist, that was my only appointment with her, but she was like, yeah, you probably have about 2 years to live. And I'm like, wait a minute.
Oh my gosh.
And so, but I'm still here 2.5 years later, also on a targeted therapy, thank God, did the biomarker testing. And so EGFR is my biomarker. But I can complain and I can't complain because my quality of life up to this point has been really, really amazing. I'm able to do pretty much everything I did before. Um, the symptoms I've had from the medication are mainly like fatigue, muscle soreness, muscle stiffness, um, which was much more pronounced, I would say, when I first started the medication. And then over time, it's gotten much easier. But yeah, not a whole lot of symptoms from that. So I'm very, very grateful at this point.
Yeah. And so I'm similar to you in that I'm taking a TKI. So I've never had to have chemo or radiation. I was always told it wouldn't work for me without positive lung cancer. And the fact that it was so far progressed at this point. But yeah, I mean, I have the same thing where it's like, yeah, fatigue and stuff like that. Muscle soreness, although I never know if it's muscle soreness from just the medicine or just being 30 plus, close to 40. You can never really tell at this point. Um, but I think there's this idea too that, and I hate to say it like this, you know what I mean? Like that we're not walking in this journey like everybody else because we get to take this medication, and I hate to feel that way, but sometimes I do. You like I just got done saying, don't compare your journey to other people. But like you see, we're in a community full of women who have gone through the gauntlet with this disease. Some of us have seen it real bad and others have not seen it real bad. And some of us are, waiting for that shoe to drop, because that could be us at any given time. And I think that's the thing that gets us
Mhm.
is that idea that like you're good right now.
Yeah.
But like, what does tomorrow look like? What does the next day look like? What does 3 months, what is your next scan going to tell you? How is your quality of life going to change at your next scan? Should you have progression? Like there's this concept of living your life in 3 month, 4 month, whatever your scan frequency, living in those increments where it's like, okay, that clock is reset and now I can go on with my life for the next 3 months, 4 months, whatever.
Mhm.
And there's always just this thought in the back of your head that like, hey, at any given time my journey could become drastically different and way more difficult. And so there is an aspect of like, yes, grateful for where you are right now, but also understanding that it could change at any time. So I constantly live with that idea that like, yeah, I'm great, I have it right now, I'm good right now, but I could be not great later, and I need to make sure that I'm mentally okay with that, because when it happens, there's no going back. You have a $30,000 dental bill and you have chemo and you have issues that like you never had to deal with before. So it's like you got to enjoy your quality of life while you have it, but also you're worried about how long you're going to have it. And that's a scary part of this, of living with this disease. Kirah, how about you? How has life been post diagnosis? And you, my dear, I know have been through the ringer. So I'm definitely curious to hear how you're doing now.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, that is my biggest concern. Just what happens at the next scan, and just living scan to scan is kind of how I feel now. I'm living in like these 6 week increments now, where I'm like, right after the scan, I'm high. I'm feeling a high, but that dies after a couple days, and then I'm like, the closer you get to the next scan, the feelings are just different. So it's just a roller coaster, like Naomi said. It is definitely a roller coaster. I mean, my life it's not going to be the same as it was prior to cancer. I've changed a lot of things. I've changed my diet. I've changed the way that I even think. I don't deal with a lot of anxiety the way I used to anymore. I used to have anxiety over everything, every little thing, work and family and everything. And now those things are so small compared to, what we're facing and what we're living with now. So I just don't even sweat the small stuff anymore. I don't stress over it anymore. So I try to be, more peaceful and just take it one day at a time, and appreciate feeling as healthy as I feel right now. Because like you said, a lot of the times I feel like, when is the other shoe going to drop?
Yeah, absolutely. It's always just waiting for that scan that changes it all. Like, okay, here it is. This is what I've been waiting for. That's the anxiety that comes, the skin anxiety, because you're living in this bubble of like, okay, it's been 3 months of goodness. All right, I'm back up to see if I can continue on with another 3 months, or am I going to have to change my whole course of whatever I'm doing. So that's anxiety that we all get, and there's no way around it. To be honest with you, the strongest of us get it. You just have to learn how to deal with it. You have to learn how to not live in it and not let it take over. That's what gets you, is being mentally strong enough to know it's there, but not being susceptible to let it take over everything, where you can't function, and like it's hard. It's very hard. It's almost, you got to have a sense of like just totally ignoring it sometimes. Like, you know what? It's going to be what it is. And I'm just going to ignore you and put you over here in this compartmentalized box. And when I need to open that box up and deal with what's inside of it, then I will. But for right now, it can stay on the shelf and I'll look at it when I have to. That's kind of how I do it. But it doesn't work for everybody. And I 100% understand that. Everyone's situation is different. So I want to transition a little bit. Number one, I'm 100% glad you ladies are here, regardless of what your quality of life is. I love having y'all. I hate having y'all in the community, but I love having us in the community, because the community is something that I feel like I don't know if I could do this without it. Like I need to be able to talk to folks that understand. I need to be able to just put something in the chat and be like, okay, all right, it's out there now. And just, like, you just need to be able to ask questions. Like, it's like having doctors and just people that understand right at your fingertips. Like, if you're having a symptom or a side effect, like, hey, has anybody ever had to do this? And people are like, yep, I did. This is what I went through. This is what you should do. Here's a laundry list of stuff you need to take care of. It's wonderful. I don't know if I could, navigate some of these treacherous waters without having you ladies. So I appreciate you guys being here. But let's talk about the stigma of us being here, and the stigma of us being strong and pushing through, which, is dangerous, probably as dangerous as the cigarettes and the smoking stigma that comes with lung cancer. This idea that, like, yeah, you're strong, you can push through, you're a warrior, like it's one of those things where you appreciate it, but you're also like, I don't have a choice. Like, I didn't choose to be a warrior. Like, I have to live and exist. And so, it's almost like a double-edged sword. You're appreciative of the compliment, but it also is very damaging, because it makes you want to hide your vulnerability, deny symptoms, deny side effects. You get depression, you have anxiety, like Kirah was talking about. So I want to talk to you ladies about how that has affected you, this idea that, like, being strong and pushing through so that you can continue to pour into others, even when you may be pouring from a half-filled or an empty cup. How has that affected you? And what are some of the things that you do to make sure that you're refilling your cup? And if you're not refilling your cup, let's talk about that too, because I think that's a problem. So it's a very loaded question. I don't know who wants to jump in first, but I'm definitely curious of, what you guys have to say around just that stigma in general.
So I'll jump. So one thing I do is I make time for myself. I always have those. So I don't know. I was the youngest of 5 girls. I am the youngest of 5 girls. And so my oldest sister is 20 years older than me. So I think I have like this almost only child syndrome thing going sometimes, even though I have 4, siblings. So I've never felt guilty about it. One thing I miss so much with my mom being gone is that, I can't leave my daughter and not call in 3 days, because I did it. I did it way before the cancer. If I needed to take a vacation, if I needed to do a staycation, hey, if she was with my mom or her dad, I don't, have to worry about it or whatever. And so I actually had a conversation with a friend this morning, and he was like, and we rarely talk, but or if we talk, it's only for a few minutes. And he said, every time I talk to you, not with Kirah, why she's never with you? I was like, hold up, pause, because I need some time to myself. And it's crazy because I live 1 mile from the grocery store. I had ran to the grocery store. I was taking Natalie some Jello this morning. And so I just ran to the grocery store to get her some Jello. And I'm like, can I not spend 20 minutes by myself? She's a preteen. So I told him, I said, she's not even into being with me at all times. Like she'll be 12 in 2 weeks. She ain't trying to be with me. And she's going through this independent. Hey, mommy, can I stay home for 15 minutes? Can I stay home for an hour by myself? So she's going into her independence, and I'm okay with, so that's one thing I tell her too, that self-preservation is the first law of nature. If you ask my child that, she's gonna tell you. If you ask her the first law of nature, she can tell. So hey, I'm gonna fix me first, because I can't fix you. I can't fix anybody else. And I think I was kind of like that prior to the cancer, but definitely now, because I tell people all the time, hey, you better do what you need to do for your life, because one day you might wake up with stage 3 lung cancer. And I don't necessarily mean lung cancer. I just mean you might wake up and your life may be totally different. Like that Tuesday night, from one night to the next, my life was totally different. I wasn't expecting a cancer diagnosis, wasn't expecting my daddy to die, wouldn't like none of that stuff. And so you might wake up with a totally different life. And so that's one thing I have mastered I did it way before. Or like if I have to go on a vacation, I'm going on a vacation with my nieces next week. We're all the same age. My child would be with her father. I don't care what they do in them 7 days. I'm not worried about it. Like, and so I've really done well with like taking care of myself. And like I said, last week was hard, probably because I was off my Lexapro. So I take my meds too. That's part of taking care of myself. So today I got my refill and I was happy. And so yeah, I've done well with that part of it.
Yeah. So I think the stigma is what keeps us from caring for ourselves, like, and just pushing through all of it. That's where these two interlock with each other, is like combating the stigma is, I think, in my opinion, like speaking about the hard parts. You can't just speak about the good, you got to speak about the good, the bad, and the ugly. Like,
right.
You got to be transparent about the whole journey, because when you only speak about the happy-go-lucky parts of things, like, hey, I got good scans, like, it really minimizes everything that led up to that. Talk about the anxiety you had getting up to them scans. Talk about how they couldn't find your vein in the appointment. Talk about all of the things that came with it, so that people understand that it's not all roses.
Right.
I think redefining what being strong is how we combat that stigma that they put on us. You know what I mean? Like being strong is not silencing your symptoms and ignoring and putting your head in the sand. Like, being strong is actually talking about what's going on and what's really happening, and being transparent about it. But yeah, so Kirah, what about you? Have you suffered with that stigma at all, about like being strong and pushing through, and what does that look like for you, and how have you combated it?
Yeah, for me, I mean, I'm still like struggling with that, because people do see me as being strong and just handling this with so much strength. And I don't always let like friends and family know exactly like how I'm feeling when it comes to like scanxiety example, not letting people know how I'm really feeling. I struggle with like anxiety and stress when it's close to scan time, or, just dealing with the thoughts that I have, of like the other shoe falling off, because even though I'm doing well right now, they only hear about, the good things. And for that, they think that I'm doing good. I'm okay. It's not that bad. But I do have a lot of days, and I do need to like start sharing that as well, so that they see all sides of it, and not just, oh, she's doing okay, she's fine.
Yeah. There's a beauty in sharing the ugly part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And if that makes any sense, like, there is something really strong about sharing that vulnerability. And like I think the other thing is like asking for help, like normalizing asking for help. That is another way that we can combat that stigma of like being strong and pushing through, is like accepting the help that people want to give us, and not just being like, no, I got it. You know what I mean? Like, no, don't just have it all the time. Let people help you. And I'm saying that more for myself than anybody else on this chat, because I'd be the first one to tell you I got it. But yeah, I definitely feel you. And just making sure you're taking care of yourself is important. You know what I mean? Like, especially when you have the good days, because we have so many bad days, it's like, try to capitalize on those good days. Definitely. Mm-hmm. But Naomi, how about you? What about the stigma in your life and how you're combating it?
So yeah, stigma has a lot of different meanings for me. I think prior to this diagnosis, I know that I had a really hard time asking for help. So I think one positive thing that's come out of this is that I have no problem asking for help now. I don't talk about how I'm feeling when it's something difficult, or if I don't feel well, I don't tend to talk about that a lot because I just don't want to give energy to that.
Hmm.
So I'm always just kind of focusing on, how I want to feel. If I do feel bad, I'm like, okay, I need to stretch, or I need to take a walk, or maybe I just need an extra nap today, or whatever it might be. Um, yeah, so that's just how I've chosen how to deal with it. But I do feel like I was sort of a people pleaser before this, and now I'm just like, I'm not doing that anymore. Like if somebody invites me somewhere and I don't want to go, like I just don't go. Like I'm busy or what have you. Like I'm not going to spend my time on things or people that I don't want to be around. So, and I love that actually. And I do a lot more things for myself right now, I would say. Yeah, I take consistent bubble baths. I've got my massages. Like I'm all about how I want to feel, doing things for myself. So that has definitely improved for me.
Shout out naps. Like naps don't get enough credit, right? How about it?
I'll do a day, like if I need to. Yeah,
Listen,
that's the best.
many a day has been saved by a nap for me. Oh my God. All right. Natalie's checking in. We did have a question in the chat that I want to get to you, Naomi. He asked, or I'm sorry, Free to Be D asked, what year was your diagnosis?
It was November 2023.
Okay, there you go. So hopefully that answers your question. But yeah, this is, again, folks, this is a live recording, but it will live forever on Heal's YouTube page and their Facebook as well. So if you have any questions or missed any part of this conversation and just want to double back and watch it again, it'll be there. So please feel free to rewatch and share and leave comments. We can still continue the conversation after we wrap. But all right, so we only have like 8 minutes left. I don't know how that happened. Shame on me for not keeping track of the time, but I want to get advice from you guys. So any advice for other super women who probably need to be taking more time for themselves? Like what kind of advice would you give to anybody listening right now who's realizing that they fit this criteria and they're just aligning a little bit too closely with what we're talking about? So I'll let you go first, Billie, because you unmuted with the quickness.
Yes, take off the cape. It does not belong to you. Take it off. Like, don't try to save everybody. Save yourself. Save yourself. I'm so serious. Like and I think that the real truth is that people think that, if you don't save yourself first, and first of all, people think about it sounding bad, right? So when I say I put myself in front of my kid, I don't give a damn that it sounds terrible. I don't care what it sounds like. I can't provide for her if I don't take care of me. So I gotta put myself first. I love her, but I'm still gonna put myself first. And so, so drop the thoughts of what it should look like. Because guess what your life should look like is not what it is, obviously. And so, so take off the cape. You don't have like Naomi said, you don't have to say yes to everything. I am good with no. I was pretty firm on boundaries too before, but now no, I don't let people play with me. I don't let people waste my time. Either you want to be here or you don't, and if you don't, that's fine. And another, I think something that's a little unique, and unfortunately now Naomi will experience, like, once your mama die, anybody can go. I say this all the time. I've made posts about it, and once your mama leave, the world is different anyway. So I got my mama leaving, and then 2 months later I got a cancer diagnosis. Like just a lot of stuff that I just don't, and so take off the cape, because one day you might wake up with stage 3 lung cancer.
Yeah. Say it louder for the people in the back. Take off the cape. If there is nothing else you get from this conversation, folks, besides listening to your body and taking your symptoms seriously, it's take off the damn cape. Like, you don't need to be Superwoman. That's not your role. All right. So Naomi, I'll go to you next, and then we'll wrap with Kirah. I guess I'm wrapping myself too.
Yeah, I would just obviously listen to your body. Like whatever, symptoms you're having, don't just sweep it under the rug, or, go to the doctor, get a second opinion. Because you know your body. Most of us know our body, and we know what doesn't feel right. So if there's something that doesn't feel right to you, go to the doctor. If you feel like they're not, answering your questions, or they're not putting you into consideration, then find another doctor. Easy for me to say now, but did I do that before? No. So yeah, just kind of put yourself first. Yeah, because I feel like there is a emotional component to cancer. Like, why would some people get it, others don't? You know, I feel like stress and anxiety just exacerbates everything. Um, so I think emotionally, we have to think about our mental health as well, and just make sure that we're feeling good. And so, yeah, I think, yeah, I could go on a tangent about that, but yeah, but just listen to your body.
Definitely, 100%. All right, Kyra, I'll swing over to you for your last bit of advice for other superwomen.
Yeah, I was gonna say just put yourself first. I mean, I never put myself first in the past, and I still struggle with that today. But put yourself first. You have to take care of yourself, like Billy said. Take the cape off. You got to take care of yourself first. How can you do anything for anyone else? And this is the time that it really matters to put yourself first. You have to take the time out and go on the vacations and do the self care and all of the things and love on yourself first, especially with this diagnosis.
Absolutely. And I will say, for my advice, even though you guys took all the good ones, I you guys said, but I also would say, like, honestly, just have a cry. Have a good cry. Like, I tell people all the time, like, sometimes you ever find, if you find yourself at a point where, like, every little thing is setting you off, like you're at from 0 to 100 immediately from little thing, your emotion cup is way overdue to be emptied. Like, it's time for you to schedule some time. And if you don't want to cry, if you're big and macho and you feel like that's weak, okay, whatever, that do you. But you got to find a way to empty your emotions out, because once your emotion cup gets filled, you start overreacting, underreacting, and overthinking, overanalyzing, and just otherwise really just stressing yourself out over things that are not a big deal. And when you have a lung cancer diagnosis or any kind of diagnosis, stress and anxiety and all of those kind of pent up emotions and whatnot are bad for you. You got to get those out. You have to get those out. So I always tell people, like, sometimes it might have been a month since you've had a good cry. Just set up some time, light some candles, put on some slow jams, and just let your emotions out. I promise you, you will wake up the next day feeling so much better, and you'll find that the things that were driving you absolutely crazy, they may still drive you crazy, but you won't feel like you're going to fly off the handle quite as quickly. So it's, again, it falls right in line with what you ladies said. It's like getting in tune with your emotions and understanding when you need to really take a step away from things and empty that emotion cup so that you can continue to fill it with other things. Because you can't pour from an empty cup, like you guys said. So that would be my advice, in addition to everything you guys said. So I want to wrap the show. I want to thank you guys for your time tonight. Thank you so much for all of this advice. This has been such a good conversation. It was so casual and just so based in all of our experience. Like, I love the fact that we can bring together, women like us who have varied stories from various walks of life, and we're all just kicking knowledge to everybody in a way that's so genuine and relatable. Like, the amount of love we've gotten in the chat and in the comments is great. So that alone is a testament to how great the conversation was. So thank you guys for your time. But I want to also give you an opportunity to shout out your contact info. So if anybody wants to continue to follow you or follow back up or ask more questions, aside from leaving a comment here, where can people find you and follow you? And Kyra, I will start with you.
You can find me on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook under Kirah Nicole.
All right. And Naomi?
Just Facebook, Naomi Tatum.
Got it. All right. And then Billy?
Hey, I'm on Instagram at about to take off. So about number 2 take off. And then on TikTok, you can find me at BGZJEEZY83. I'm not on Facebook right now, but yeah.
Yeah, man, this messing me up. I'd be trying to tag you and stuff, and I'd be like, "Where's Billy?" Oh, that's right.
I had to take that mental break. I'm gonna come back probably in July, August, but I had to take that mental break.
I hear you. You gotta do what you gotta do. And folks, you can find me on TikTok. I am It's Just Jams on TikTok. I'm just_jams on Instagram, and Jamie Jam on Facebook. Make sure you follow the Heal Collaborative. They're at Heal Collaborative on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and they don't have a TikTok or anything else. So just those 3 platforms. And make sure you check out Voices That Heal and the other episodes that we've done. It's been a really great run that we've done here. And I think, honestly, it's worth checking out and taking a look at some of the content to see if it's something that you can align with. But I want to thank everybody again for tuning in tonight. I want to thank these three lovely ladies for joining me and giving me time on your Sunday evening. If you guys are interested, we will be back again with another live episode coming up at the end of the month. And then 2 more in June. So make sure you keep it locked to Heal Collaborative to see what those episodes will be. But otherwise, everyone have a safe and happy rest of your Sunday. And we'll see you next time right here on Voices That Heal.